It is. Oh, it's upside down. You see me now. It is literally in my vehicle warmer when I stop. Now I have energy where I stopped. I could go outside, disconnect the battery because it's definitely not running like it used to. Like in first gear when I was climbing a hill, I could tell like either it's misfiring or it's confused. And but I am pretty sure at this point I know what the issue is based on the data and the patterns. Is I think the fact that it's cold, that my radiator is always going as I'm traveling through cold. Like the wind right now is like eating into my fuel consumption, and it's getting inside the vehicle too. My socks behind the phone. And so now I'm changing at least to boots instead of running shoes because my feet were cold. And that's my heater going full blast. And I tell you, I can't really rely on this battery charging gauge that I have that's replacing the console there. It seems like it's misfiring a little bit, but it could also be the manifold exhaust leak on the right is getting worse. So I'm not going to go and disconnect because there are risks. Maybe I'll do something wrong. It'll discharge the battery if I touch the wrong thing accidentally. I don't want that because I have to decide with my limited budget what to do. Because let's say before I keep going in the direction that I want to go, whether I get the job or not, is I should probably invest in the highest level. I'm in the mid-range level with BCAA, and BCAA is hard to get service in BC from them. And it's possible I'd need more than one call, especially because this vehicle's gas tank is not huge, and I'd have to, even if I buy an extra jerry can, it might not even be enough sometimes. So this job interview this week went well. I think maybe, maybe one person got triggered a little bit. There was like two men and one woman, and the woman laughed, guy laughed, but the guy's question, I think he might have realized, and I realized that maybe I made an assumption, but also his communication of this question. And it's the scenario of what happened to him. So he's telling it as if he's telling friends that know the language and the situation. So it was mostly my clarifying questions that brought the scenario to the learning that it's supposed to be, not just a question. Because I said at the end, thank you. I learned a lot from your question, from this question. So it wasn't, it was more about clarifying it. So this is the situation. So this is like the meaning of asking this and what the logic is behind the response. And I missed a few things, possibly through assumptions. Like, for example, he said, I'm in this role. The other person in that role that I didn't even know is below me is panicking and wants you to do that to save them their mistake. And it wasn't about safety, about an accident about to happen. It was more about... never do that, even if somebody asks you in a panic, because it was more a situation, and I think this happened to him or somebody they knew. And the person that was panicking is more about the ego of making a mistake, even though there wouldn't be an accident. And his response was like irrational. And I guess, if I worked with somebody like that, I would know to calm the person down instead of doing what they say, especially if I'm in the upper level of responsibility in this role. And that's why it was a learning experience, that question. But I mean, the person might have been triggered a little bit because it lasted a while and I was trying to clarify a lot. So they might have, and it's good if they review let's say they recorded it and the other two review with him, they would say, that's a good question. It just has to be rephrased a little bit to avoid, let's say, assumptions. Because we got to know that the people we're hiring are majoritively not people that have been in this role before, right? So, and the person hasn't done the training yet, right? It's not an exam question. So let's say that might be the only thing. The rest, I would say they'd be very happy. So let's say I have faith and they give me a job. And it's going to be hard, this training and this job. But I want it. I want that challenge. I want that role. I want that focus on something and move away from giving you the lessons that you don't want to learn as a species. And taking care of my health, so that maybe one day I'll have the energy and the comfort in my life to actually write a book or something. and say, well, yeah, and then go back to all these vlogs where I said all these things before they got worse, and you kind of ignored it, and I was the bad guy as the messenger, but I wasn't just the messenger. I had solutions I was recommending. So I'm passing through this city, and I finally made myself get out of it by asking directions again, and I'm out, so at least I'm on the way to where I might spend the night and not keep going. But I'm going through my budget with the expectation that this job may or may not come. I have to have faith they'll give me this job. And if they do, I have to have faith that the BC government, the BC Ministry of Poverty Creation, won't sabotage it by not funding my ability to get there and survive the first few weeks. Because, even though they give a paycheck and the training, the relocation allowance, for example, doesn't come till much, much later. So, I wouldn't be able to prove it. And I'm going through all my budget, really, with faith that I'll be offered the job, with faith that the ministry will support me so I don't get bankrupt before I get there and survive the cold. But I'm passing through a typical Canadian city. And the typical Canadian city is you can see people on the sidewalk downtown that are talking to themselves, and they're crunched. They have physical disabilities from just the hardships they're surviving in the cold. Mental health, addictions, the new economy must keep everybody sick, easier to control. And the ones that get slightly better, give them jobs, let them swear to customers because that's kind of the norm now. And, and then there's the Canadians you can't see, the ones that own the hotel chains that closed down or they made a new building in that town. So instead of selling it, where they could even sell it in a way that they have a tax donation receipt in some way, I don't know, under cost or under value. And so the homeless people would be there, but they might say, no, we don't want homeless people there, which they have helped to create. And some of them is their family members they don't give a damn about because they think they're losers during the Anthropocene by not being the ones that speed up the Anthropocene. No offense, I don't have issues with drug addiction or mental health or physical disabilities or inability to problem solve in a way that would lead to this stuff. But I'm still not going to be developmentally disabled or mentally ill by accelerating the Anthropocene for my own comfort. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the Ministry of Poverty Creation, let's say I got this job and they refuse to help me with it. Then I'll be faced in a conflict where they'll think they have a reason to take me to court later when I didn't declare the amount of income at the beginning to them, which would have been what they should have given me, but was laundered to either Work BC. And again, it's to fix my home. During the interview of this job, they said, yeah, there's really hard to get housing here. So we supply it for you the first 3 months. After that, it's good you have a motorhome. Except this motorhome will hopefully make it there, but there's so many things about it that needs to be fixed or start working again. Like running water to wash my dishes and basic hygiene. So I don't have expenses to go do that somewhere else by moving the vehicle. And therefore putting more wear and more issues on it. So again, yeah. Now, the other thing I wanted to say is I think I'm going to make a great grandpa. The thing is, I don't have kids or grandkids, but, like Sunnybrow, where I was before, I traveled quite a ways to go meet them for the pancake breakfast, and I wasn't really hungry because I'm not digesting my food fast enough. And they still kind of, wanted to charge me the full $10, and I didn't eat more than the others, and they didn't offer to give me any. And I'm talking about I could help them volunteer. And I said, for example, teach with computers. Oh, that's great, because, this lady right here has wanted to, and we've donated some of our funds to an organization that does stuff like this, except that they're refusing our members now. Sounds like the Wizard of Oz in Castlegar kind of thing. And, or they're not doing enough, and it's like we put our money, and it's like they're finding reasons to say, oh, no, you don't qualify or whatever. It's like, what the hell? It's our organization that helped pay for your volunteers. And I'm saying I'm not like that, and you'll see, for me, moving money around is not, what creates communities. So they're all happy. I send them the information by email, didn't hear back from them. So I had to go all the way there with the fuel. I say, I won't treat you like the others treated you, and they're treating me like they got treated, which is to charge a lot of money and not offer anything other than the basic meal that I wasn't that hungry for, but no leftovers or anything. So, again, I miss my grandpa, who wasn't, obsessed with this. And I would make a great grandpa or an older father figure because I'll be able to have the skill sets, for example, that, a lot of the more dysfunctional Canadians will be stuck in getting jobs in the army in the future, except the army is not promoting, secular chaplains that have counseling skills, is not promoting, more social workers that have counseling skills, not promoting, wellness and benefits, I mean, there'll be trauma for people being in the army now without going to war because it's just what's coming in the next year and a half. The army will be unprepared for it. And just like the RCMP is not ready, they say, yeah, we need change. We just are waiting for miracles instead of admitting how it has to be done and what kind of hard work and how we have to all swallow our pride instead of protecting each other's feelings. It's kind of the same thing there. So anyways, I'm going in an area where I'm going to stop. That's enough, and I might need to be there 3 days before the weather is safer again for a vehicle with the limited resources of tires and chains that was or was not available to my budget. But when I'm in this other place, I predict, because I tell them, yeah, I'd like to stay here before I continue on, that again, as a homeless person, they're going to try to get the most money out of me, even for things like just plugging in electricity and not necessarily a room. If I had a job offer, like if they said, hey, Martin, I know we told you next week we'd give you the answer, but we want to give you the offer now. You told us that as soon as you have the offer, you're going to ask for funding, go for it, and we're quite happy. Then if I might pay myself one night in a hotel where my electronic devices won't freeze, and I won't feel like I'm being robbed because I'll just say, oh, I just looked for one night, and they'll just charge me a regular rate. But if I say, oh, I'm stuck here 3 nights, because my vehicle, I'm waiting for better weather, oh man, it's going to be more expensive. Including plugging in electricity where I still have a hardship and it's still not warm everywhere in my motorhome. That's who you are. So yeah, going in the army to defend a breaking culture's right to continue breaking itself is not kind of what I would consider to be human behaviors.